In 1866, a painting shocked Paris. It revealed a dark truth that many wanted to ignore. Today, we're diving into the disturbing story behind one of art history's most controversial masterpieces. A painting so powerful, it's still sparking heated debates more than 150 years later. Let's dive deeper into the world that produced the slave market. The 1860s were a fascinating and contradictory time. While France and other European nations prided themselves on being civilized and had officially abolished slavery in their own territories, they maintained colonial empires and often turned a blind eye to slavery continuing elsewhere. This complexity is reflected in how Gérôme's painting was received by its original audience. The painting first appeared at the Paris Salon of 1867, where it caused quite a stir. Contemporary critic Maxime Duchamp, who had traveled extensively in the Near East, praised it as a scene done on the spot in Cairo's slave market. But here's the interesting part. While slavery had indeed existed in Cairo, by the 1860s, such open-air slave markets were largely a thing of the past. Gérôme was painting an imagined scene, albeit one based on historical reality. What makes this context particularly important is understanding how European audiences viewed such works. They could simultaneously condemn slavery as barbaric while viewing these paintings as entertainment. The painting allowed viewers to feel morally superior to the uncivilized East, while also indulging in fascination with its perceived exoticism. This dual nature, both condemning and exploiting, reveals much about 19th century European attitudes towards other cultures. Let's take a closer look at what's actually happening in this painting, because every detail Gérôme included was carefully chosen to tell a specific story. The scene centers on a nude female figure, standing in what art historians call a contrapposto pose, a classical stance that immediately connects this modern scene to ancient art traditions. But unlike the dignified nudes of classical art, this woman's pose suggests vulnerability and powerlessness. The woman's nudity contrasts sharply with the fully clothed men surrounding her. These men are depicted in elaborate Eastern dress, richly colored robes, turbans, and decorative accessories that Gérôme has rendered in meticulous detail. The contrast creates a power dynamic that would have been immediately apparent to 19th century European viewers. The civilized clothing of the merchants versus the primitive nudity of the slave. Look at how Gérôme has positioned the figures. The potential buyer, dressed in gold and green, examines the woman's teeth, a gesture that reduces her to the status of livestock. Her face shows cool detachment, while the seller's expression suggests satisfaction at an impending sale. The woman's face is turned away, denying her individuality and emotion, making her more object than person. In the background, other potential transactions unfold, suggesting the scale of this inhumane trade. The architectural setting plays a crucial role too. The stone archways and decorative tiles create a sense of permanence, suggesting that this isn't just a temporary market, but an established institution. The interplay of light and shadow is particularly significant. Bright sunlight illuminates the central scene, while darker shadows in the periphery hint at even more disturbing activities taking place just out of view. Color plays a subtle but important role in the painting's psychological impact. The warm browns and golds of the architecture and clothing create a seemingly pleasant atmosphere that contrasts jarringly with the scene's brutal reality. This contradiction was part of Gérôme's strategy, making the horrific seem almost mundane, which in turn made it more disturbing. Now, let's look at how Gérôme actually constructed this powerful image. His technique was absolutely masterful, every detail rendered with photographic precision. The architecture in the background, the textiles, the play of light and shadow, all executed with extraordinary skill. This wasn't just showing off. This technical precision served a specific purpose. It made the scene feel real, documentary-like, even though it was largely imagined. Consider how Gérôme uses space in the painting. The composition draws your eye immediately to the central figure, but then leads you through the market scene, revealing more details and smaller dramas playing out in the background. The lighting is particularly clever, bright enough to illuminate the main scene clearly, but with shadows that create a sense of moral darkness. The architectural details deserve special attention. Jerome had traveled extensively in the Middle East and North Africa, making careful studies of buildings, costumes, and artifacts. He incorporated these authentic details into his paintings, giving them a veneer of documentary truth. The buildings in the slave market combined various elements he had observed in his travels, creating what viewers would have recognized as a generally Eastern setting. When we dig deeper into the slave market, we find layers of meaning that go beyond its immediate shock value. The painting operates on several levels simultaneously, each adding complexity to our understanding of both the artwork and its historical context. First, there's the obvious narrative level, the literal depiction of a slave market. But beneath this surface story, Jerome has embedded commentary on power relationships. Gender power, men controlling women, cultural power, East versus West, and economic power, the commodification of human beings. The painting becomes a complex web of power dynamics that reflected and reinforced 19th century European worldviews. The painting also functions as a kind of moral paradox. While it appears to condemn slavery by exposing its brutality, it simultaneously turns that brutality into a form of entertainment for European audiences. The technical beauty of the painting, its fine detail, masterful composition, and luminous color creates an uncomfortable tension with its disturbing subject matter. This tension forces us to question our role as viewers. Are we witnesses condemning injustice, or are we participating in the exploitation by deriving aesthetic pleasure from the scene? Perhaps most intriguingly, the painting reveals much about the psychology of colonialism. By depicting slavery as something that happens over there in the exotic East, it allowed European viewers to distance themselves from their own society's recent history of slavery and ongoing colonial exploitation. The painting became a kind of moral safety valve, allowing viewers to feel righteous indignation while avoiding uncomfortable questions about their own society's role in global systems of oppression. Art has the power to make us think, feel, and question our assumptions about the world. The slave market continues to challenge viewers today, reminding us that some conversations never lose their relevance. What do you think about how we should handle challenging historical artworks like this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on this complex issue. If you enjoyed this deep dive into art history, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We'll be exploring more fascinating stories behind history's most powerful artworks. Each one has a unique tale to tell about who we were and who we are today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll uncover another hidden story from the world of art.